Addies, boyos, it is time for Bizarre Podcast Dogs Must Die, Episode 2.
Oh my god. Things are only going to keep ramping up from here.
You can call me Grant, you can call him Chip, and this is a show where we talk about the many events of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. This episode we are covering episodes 6 through 9. Nope. Episodes 4 through 6 of the first season.
Well, we already said in the previous episode, like, oh, here, this is where it becomes JoJo. No, this is where it becomes JoJo. No, episode 4 is where it becomes JoJo.
Yeah, I can see that. I could also see an argument for episode 5, but we'll get there. Were you excited for me to see these, the beginning of these supernatural powers fights?
Yes. Yeah, even when you get through the first 3 episodes, it feels like, okay, we finally got into some fights. It feels like we've got to what the core of the show is. And no, it takes until episode 4 for it to really kick in.
So I guess let's get right to that. Episode 4 is called Overdrive, and our cold open before the OP is Speedwagon putting JoJo on suicide watch because he's so sure, he's so despondent after becoming houseless and fatherless. Never mind that he's loaded, successful, popular. Yeah. All of the rugby writers in England just want to jerk him off all day.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure at this point, even though, sure, like, JoJo's family is gone, the house is gone, I'm pretty sure the money wasn't stored inside the house. I'm pretty sure that JoJo...
I bet he's also bummed. Like, Robert, Mr. Speedwagon, you're right. He's probably a little bummed.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's quite that despondent. He has things to live for.
Yeah.
Not least of which is becoming England's most successful vampire slayer overnight. As far as he knows.
Yeah, like at this point, like there's been no indication that there have ever been other vampires, at least not in England. I don't know. I think he's set. I think he's got a couple different avenues.
So then the OP hits, and I was struck watching this for the third time. If you add them up, Arena has more cumulative screen time just in those than actual content so far.
Yeah.
But that is about to change, because as soon as it ends, we cut back to Speedwagon, who's peeking in on JoJo's bedside, and who is there but Arena herself, and he is reminded, oh right, my buddy knows more than one person.
Yeah, he's remarking upon, like, oh, who is this? Oh my god, how long has she been at this? Cooling JoJo's, like, burns and stuff. Noticing that her hands are, like, all chapped. From, like,
because even bedside nursing is extreme.
Yeah, extreme bedside nursing. She's just dunked her hands in that water so many times her hands are, like, all cracked and peeling. But I just want to say, during this scene where JoJo and Arena recognize each other and go, oh my god, hey, it's been so long, because they basically had not seen each other anymore since Dio kissed her. Mm-hmm. It's already been established that Johnathan is fucking huge, but for some reason, this scene in particular, where 90%
his thighs look like motorcycle gas tanks.
Yeah, like 90% of his body is in bandages, and for some reason, that just makes him look even huger. It is hilarious, the shot of him on the bed and his teeny tiny normal man-sized head and his gargantuan body. Like, his neck is so thick. His neck is wider than his head.
His bandages that are vacuum formed, they are tucked into the crevices of his abs.
He's just so buff. If he flexes, it just gets sucked in to all the crevices.
He's so buff.
What did he eat? Did they have growth hormone in that stuff? Like, what happened to him? His dad wasn't nearly that huge. Maybe he was when he was younger. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe he shrunk. Maybe that when you get older, you also get really tiny.
I do appreciate that in his internal monologue, Speedwagon calls Irina Florence Nightingale.
Yes.
While Florence Nightingale is still alive. She's like 40 years old at the time this takes place.
I didn't even think of that. Jesus Christ. That rules.
But yeah, Suicide Watch is over. JoJo clearly has something to live for, and it's the gentle touch of the chapped hands of his nurse.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah, Speedwagon is just like, oh, thank God, there's a woman here that he likes. Welp, I'll take my leave.
Time for me to go.
Time for me to go. Godspeed, JoJo.
So then we cut back to old London town where Dio has the world's fanciest wheelchair.
Yeah, his golden throne.
He's being pushed around on a throne of kings by the poison vendor.
Yeah.
Who's not just fed on, but apparently turned into a vampiric thrall.
Yes. You know, you think in episode 2 when they go like, hey man, Jack the Ripper's around, but what's going to happen is going to be way worse. You think they're just doing that to compare, but no.
Turns out that's not a comparison point. He's a character?
Yeah.
Jack the Ripper's just in this.
And yeah, Dio's just getting pushed around in his fancy chair in the streets of London, and just bam, he found Jack the Ripper handily, very easily. Scotland
Yard couldn't manage it. It took Johnny Depp to weeks to do what Dio could do overnight.
Yeah, he just immediately goes, you know what, Jack the Ripper, you could be doing way better than just killing random ladies in the streets. And Dio just straight up hypnotizes him vampire style and turns Jack the Ripper into another thrall of his.
That's how evil Dio is. Jack the Ripper serves him.
He's just a fucking henchman now. Like a hypnotized henchman. He doesn't even have his own agency anymore. It's great.
So meanwhile, JoJo has healed a fair bit more. He at least he's up and ambulatory, taking nature walks with the deer arena.
They're checking out the wreckage of the JoJo estate.
And surely nothing is suspicious at all about this stalker in a checked top hat.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine.
The most conspicuous stalker outfit.
Yeah, they do like 2 or 3 double takes of this dude walking behind them, and then the instant they look at him, he just like does a 180 or just like hops into a bush or whatever.
Honey, I think that man in the ivory white long coat is following us. How can you tell? It could be anyone.
But yeah, when they do a double take, and then when they look forward again, oh, he's in front of them just chilling out, eating a sandwich. This fancy man already knows their names, already knows JoJo's, already knows Arena's. And he leaps 12 feet into the air.
Naturally.
And then lands right in front of JoJo and pokes him really hard in the tummy with his pinky.
Because every time Arena is around, JoJo gets his ass kicked.
Yeah.
Every time. She's his kryptonite.
Yeah, Arena's like, hey, like, what the fuck? Why did you do that? He's already injured. And this dude...
And in response, this mysterious man takes out a salt shaker and shakes salt onto his sandwich? What kind of freak are you?
Yeah. And he's just going like, hey, don't worry. Like, I did that for a good reason.
Just do that during the assembly phase of the sandwich, you monster.
Yeah, like, does it really need that much more salt? I don't know. But yeah, he's saying like, hey, don't worry. I poked him for a good reason. And then JoJo immediately goes, oh shit, my arm! And you hear just tons of bone cracking noises. And all these other fucked up bodily sounds that should never happen.
Yeah, his arm is healed instantly as soon as he takes a gasping breath from the pinky poke. and he proves it by lifting a rock and saying, lifting this rock is nothing. Why did you lift the rock, though?
Yeah, I just love
that. What are
you
going to do with the rock, though?
Yeah, and it's not even like like the editing for this part is really funny to me because it's not even like you see him go find a rock, bend down, pick it up to test out his arm. No, it's just like, oh shit, my arm's healing. Hard cut to him picking up a big rock, and I can pick up this rock.
Sometimes you just gotta know. You gotta know if you can lift a rock.
Yeah. Can I pick up that big rock? Maybe.
So this man introduces himself as Baron Zeppeli. He basically belongs on Dr. Oz. He has a theory of the body and energy and healing.
Yes.
That is really exciting to all the readers of Goop.
It feels adjacent to like Reiki. or something. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah,
Like if Reiki was also Kung Fu.
yeah. Zeppeli introduces this whole thing, and before he even tells JoJo what this power is, he goes to demonstrate it once more by stepping into a little pond nearby, and he takes a deep breath while standing in front of this rock that a little frog is sitting on, while JoJo remarks, "What type of mischief is he up to with that frog?" What
you doing with that frog, bro? What you doing with that frog?
And Zeppeli...
We got to rename the show Frog Mischief.
Frog Mischief. Zeppeli comes down on this frog with a powerful karate chop. And while he's doing this... while he's in the middle of doing this, JoJo remarks... He's looking at the water that Zeppeli is standing in and noticing that from his ankles out, there's tons of like glowing ripples going out into the water. And Zeppeli karate chops this frog in slow motion.
An incredibly calm frog to just allow this. This frog is super chill.
Yeah, the frog is completely unaware. In slow motion, you're seeing him getting the full impact of this karate chop. But then all of a sudden, the rock beneath the frog splits in half. And the frog's fine, and he just goes on his way.
No frogs were harmed in the making of this magic system.
Yeah. Now, dogs can't guarantee that. Do not know. JoJo's like, hey, what the fuck is that? The frog is unharmed. There was no mischief done. Zeppeli says, oh, that was Sendo that you saw. Now, while Zeppeli says, hey, this was Sendo, you're never going to hear that word again. What you're going to hear a lot about is Hamon.
Hamon and ripples.
Yeah. So what he did was channeled Hamon energy through the frog and into the rock, so only the rock was destroyed. Hamon is a breathing technique. You have to, if you breathe a certain way.
It's very breathing is important. This entire episode of our show, so these 3 episodes of JoJo are all about what Hamon can and can't do.
Yeah.
And I still don't get what Hamon can and can't do.
Okay, so...
Because it's always laid out one fact at a time, and that's the thing that I do not like about it.
Yeah, so this is something that's going to happen with JoJo basically throughout the entire thing. There's going to be other times where different powers are introduced, and they do a better job laying the groundwork of, like, here's what this thing can and cannot do. But there's always going to be exceptions where it can do that thing it can't do. And that's because, especially in later parts of JoJo, the creator Araki, he is a guy who, he seems, for a lot of the parts of JoJo, has a vague idea of what he wants the entire story to be like. But along the way, if he wrote something where he's like, actually, that limits me from doing this cool idea I thought, he'll just go, you know what? I'm going to do that cool idea anyways, even if it might be contradictory. And so, yeah, Hamon's kind of par for the course with that stuff. Yeah, it can do a lot, kind of whatever it needs.
Except for when it can.
Except for when it can.
Except for when it can.
Yeah. Hamon is supposed to be an energy, a ripple energy that you send out. That is, it's naturally in every living thing. You're just amplifying it by breathing correctly.
Yes.
And keeping calm, essentially, because if you got erratic breath, you're going to have bad Hamon energy.
Mm-hmm. So you gotta be as calm as that frog that did not care it was about to get karate chopped into oblivion.
Yeah.
That frog has powerful Hamon.
Yeah. But while Zeppeli is introducing Hamon, he brings up the fact that he knows that the stone mask is not destroyed, and it's been his life's mission to track down that mask.
Yes, and he also drops that Dio still lives.
Yeah.
So JoJo got to think he won for around 10 whole minutes of animation. Poor guy. Poor guy. And he was unconscious for a lot of that.
Yeah. It's gotta suck when you own a dude so hard that you completely impale him in a giant statue and burn him alive, and that wasn't enough.
Ugh. But it's okay because Hamon will be the key to actually defeating Dio.
When JoJo's arm was healed, that was done via Hamon, in that when Zeppeli leaped in to poke JoJo's diaphragm in just the right way to force him to breathe in the correct Hamon way temporarily.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this awakened his Hamon energy as well.
Yeah, and like...
I'm just thinking of Spanish for ham. I can't help it.
Hamon, ham on. But yeah, there's a point where they're talking where JoJo like reaches up and just grabs like a tree branch, and Zeppeli marvels that there are flowers instantaneously blooming from the branch.
He's a natural, this boy.
Yeah, he doesn't even know he's doing it. He hasn't even been taught yet. Actually, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, Zeppeli goes into his backstory a little bit later.
Zeppeli goes into his backstory a lot of times.
A lot of times.
The next thing I've got in my notes is his first flashback, talking about his history with the mask.
Right, yes.
Because you thought JoJo, the expert anthropology student, was going to solve the mystery of his father's mask. Fuck you. He's got a guy for that.
Yeah, while we're getting like a training montage of JoJo like sitting underwater with a big rock in his lap.
But lifting the rock is nothing. It's fine.
Yeah, we get that backstory from Zeppeli of he was the one to unleash the mask into the world years ago.
Because he was also an anthropologist, and he discovered it in an ancient Aztec temple, explaining what's going on with the end credits, a whole like vibe and art style.
Yes, yeah, that whole like Aztec mural with the blood filling it. Yeah,
it got loose and accidentally created a vampire on his sailing ship coming back to Europe with all their many spoils of plundering that is 1800s archaeology.
Yeah. And yeah, everyone but him was slaughtered on the ship. The guy who became the vampire was actually Zeppeli's dad.
Welcome to Bad Dads, the show. We got to call it either Bad Dads or Frog Mischief.
And Zeppeli got lucky. He only lived because the sun came up and also killed his dad. Lots of people get lucky with the sun coming up on these vampires.
So it's a good thing that Hamon is like having the sun in your blood through your breath that can be communicated by punching.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the Hamon ripple energy is the same energy that is given off by the sun. So it's great for fighting vampires.
It's great. It's great for fighting vampires.
They right before they say, hey, Hamon is the same energy as the sun, which is a pretty easy way of saying, like, this is why it's good for fighting vampires. They say a different thing that never comes back, which is, because Dio is a living thing, he has Hamon energy within him naturally, so the way to defeat him is by overloading him with too much Hamon energy. That never comes back. It's the same. It's punching with the sun, basically.
I also like this because, Hamon is both the thing vampires feed on when they drink people's blood, but it's also the power of the sun, which hurts vampires.
Yeah, that line, like, just erase it from your memory, because it's one of those things where it's like it does not come back or matter. It's just they're punching with the same energy of the sun.
It's like Boktai, but without the gun.
Yeah, pretty much.
Boktai punching.
Yeah. And you don't even really need to recharge, like, with the sun. It's just as long as you can breathe, like, you're good. One of the things about how Hamon works is like, wait, is it this or is it this? Who knows?
So now it's time for a road trip because Speedwagon has heard some scuttlebutt and thinks he knows where Dio is. So our three big boyos are piling into a carriage.
And also Johnathan, while they just immediately go to this town, Win Night Slot, it's called. JoJo's just thinking to himself, like, damn, I didn't tell Arena that I was leaving. Hope I live.
Sucks to be her.
Yeah.
Anyway, his bow tie is overwhelmed by his mighty neck.
It's such a tiny little bow tie.
Why is he wearing a bow tie? Because he is dressed like a couture newsboy?
I love JoJo's outfit for this part of the show.
I love his little, like, comma embroidery on his lapels.
Yep. I'm wondering if JoJo picked that out thinking, like, this is my best fancy lad combat outfit, or, like, what was the thought behind this choice?
No, it's a disguise. Dio will never recognize him dressed like that. The bow tie is so good because the bow tie is comical because it is overwhelmed by the neck. But if it was any larger, it would be comical in its own right. There is no way that this bow tie is not funny.
Yeah, it's like at a certain point it would no longer be a bow tie and just like a gigantic like bow for a present or something. Like if it were any bigger.
Unfortunately, Win Night's Lot is a secluded place, so secluded that there is a great wall around it with a tunnel you have to go through. A tunnel is about 200 meters long.
Yeah.
It's a very long tunnel.
And while they're going through, well, the instant they go into this dark tunnel, they remark, "We're going to attack Dio while it's still daytime, so he cannot fight back, and we have the advantage." And the instant they say that, the carriage comes to a stop. The instant they're in that tunnel.
In this dark, sunlight-free tunnel, yes.
Yeah. And they're like, "Hey, what's going on? Something suspicious is going on here." And when they step out of the carriage, both horses have been decapitated.
Yes, because Jack's back.
Back.
He is branching out. Not just humans anymore.
Yeah. He decapitated these horses. For some reason, he took the time to take one of the horse heads and put it on top of the carriage rider's head, who also died. Not sure if it was just from having the horse head placed on him or what.
Everybody needs a hobby. Everybody's got a sense of humor if you drill down far enough.
Yeah, but I'm curious what your reaction was to watching the immediate next thing that happens in this part.
This is the first time that Elena had to ask, "What the hell are you watching?" when she overheard my reaction. I'm watching with headphones. I made some sort of noise, and she's like, What are you doing? What is that?"
I wish I could have been there for this. I was waiting for this.
Because what happens is that Jack the Ripper demonstrates no one on Earth has a greater commitment to the idea of surprise than he. He has climbed inside the torso of one of these decapitated horses through the neck. And pops out like, "Surprise, it's me!" Somehow the horses remained standing through the entire ordeal. Wow.
I love, he erupts from the horse's neck, somehow completely from the neck stump of the horse. When he leaps out, he's brandishing 2 knives, or 3? I think he might be holding one in his mouth too.
There's no point in counting the knives this guy has, as we will see shortly.
It's true. Yeah, he leaps out, but he doesn't even do like a surprise attack. It was just like, look at this cool trick I can do. Because once he erupts from the horse, he just lands there and like introduces himself as Jack the Ripper, basically.
He's the most undercover guy in the world, and then he gets bored for like a second. Like, nah, I'm just gonna pop out. Yeah,
he just couldn't contain his excitement. Actually, there is a bit before he erupts from the horse where just his head is peeking out from the neck stump of the horse.
It's so good! I thought he was standing behind the horse, but no.
Yeah, that's something that's a little easier to make out when it's not the Netflix version, because they censored the horse's neck stumps.
He's made himself into a horse ducking.
Oh my god.
I thought they looked majestic on the outside.
Yeah.
So Zeppeli sees what's happening and that this man has become a minion of Dio, which makes me wonder, what if the minions followed Dio?
Ooh. I don't know. Actually, you know what? Because like I've said before, you can spoil some things from JoJo, and it's just like, I don't believe you. There's basically minions in a later part of JoJo. Very close to minions, actually. They're yellow, they're tiny, they're wacky. Like,
what if instead of the like poison cellar pushing him around, it was a little yellow dude in overalls?
It could work.
Dio sucks the blood and zombifies Jack the Ripper, and then you hear papaya.
God damn it.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? It could work.
They follow the most evil person on Earth. And if that's not Dio, I don't know who is.
Yeah. So yeah, the instant after Jack the Ripper pops out, Zeppeli, who now has a wine glass and a bottle of wine from somewhere, jams his pinky into the bottom of the bottle, and then it starts pouring wine from the bottom.
He's got power pinkies.
Yeah. While pouring this wine from the bottom of the bottle into this glass, he's saying, hey, stand aside. I'm going to chump this dude. This guy's a zombie. And he goes on this big, long talk asking JoJo and Speedwagon if they believe fleas are courageous.
Yes. The courage of the flea.
Oh, during all this, I should also mention that Jack the Ripper has shown how fucking crazy he is because he stabs a knife straight through his face. His own face.
And also, knives start emerging from his body.
Right, yes. He flexes really hard, and knives that he stabbed inside of himself previously come shooting out of his muscles.
These zombies, the zombie minions of Dio, all seem to have some sort of elemental control over something about them in life.
Yeah.
So he basically has mutant X-Men knife powers, Jack the Ripper.
They also briefly think about just leaving the tunnel, but they say all of that out loud, so Jack the Ripper hears it and just picks up the entire carriage, horses and all, and chucks it at the end of the tunnel and causes it to collapse.
I mean, this isn't just them discussing what they could do. This is part of Zeppeli beginning his series of teachable moments throughout the episode, telling JoJo how to think strategically by putting himself in his opponent's shoes and think of what would be the most advantageous thing for them to do next.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, if I were him, I would obviously block our escape. And so that's exactly what he does. This is what I have come to expect from JoJo fights, is this point counterpoint chess match way of thinking.
Yep.
And so it's good to have it all laid out explicitly in the text. Thank you, Sensei Zeppeli.
Yeah, in Zeppeli's first lesson of this episode, he brings up that whole thing of are fleas courageous? No, they're just doing things on impulse, just like this zombie Jack the Ripper. While saying this, Jack tries to stab Zeppeli, but he just catches it with the wine bottle, which is pretty impressive.
It's good wine. That's how you know.
It's good wine. And he talks about basically just saying fear is the mind killer. You got to stay chill. You got to stay chill to do Hamon, man. You got to be courageous. No matter how powerful zombies and their can be, they relinquished even being able to be courageous when they took that form. And he kicks Jack the Ripper in the face real hard.
Real hard. Real fucking hard.
Partially melts Jack's face, sends him flying. For some reason, this tunnel has a secret switch really high up.
It's for access. It's an access panel for maintenance.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. But yeah, Jack flips that switch, opens up a secret passage, and flees into it.
And so now Zeppeli has decided that this truly is, this is not a fight, this is a mentorship opportunity. And so he charges JoJo with hunting down and destroying Jack the Ripper, which I mean, good, I guess. That's a good thing for the world.
Yeah.
But there is a challenge.
Yeah.
He's given a glass of wine, and he must not spill a single drop on his murder mission.
And if
he is not worth teaching any farther.
Yeah, even if a single drop goes.
And if you're that thirsty, maybe just keep the wine. You ever think of that, Baron?
Yeah, JoJo goes into this secret passageway, which not really sure what this area was for. It's just like a maze, a secret maze.
It looks like they're chasing each other in an Egyptian pyramid or something.
Yeah,
there's something very Tomb Raidery about this secret passage.
Yeah, and so JoJo's carrying the glass of wine. He also brought a torch with him, and Jack the Ripper comes flying by
with what can only be described as a contraption,
some type of big contraption the size of Jack the Ripper himself. It's a lot of
hair
knives.
Clip. It's a hair clip for giants.
Yeah, it's a gigantic hair clip that's ready to cut you into teeny tiny pieces. I don't know how Jack the Ripper in this single scene flies through the air with it. It's not like he leapt into the air with it. He's just flying.
He got punched by a vampire. Dio gave him an assist. That's how people fly directly horizontally.
Yeah, if you want to go that far, even 40 feet at least, you just get a glancing blow. And you just sail. So
JoJo reasons that he's a sitting duck. He's painted a target on his back by carrying a lit torch. So he's got to ditch that.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing the dramatic fight mood lighting picks up the slack.
Yeah, it kicks in right now. Everything gets all blue and red and weird looking. JoJo's slowly walking in the dark looking for Jack. We see that Jack is just right around the corner, just waiting for JoJo to round the corner here.
But he finds a moment of clarity in his glass of wine.
Yeah.
To which I say, same. We've all been there. He sees that it is beginning to ripple, and he is reminded to trust his Hamon.
Yeah. So yeah, this is one of those things. It's like, okay, Hamon can do that too. Okay.
Okay, sure.
But sure, like the ripples that he is sending out into the wine is kind of acting like a detector of sorts.
Zombie radar.
I suppose the ripples are heading out and either hitting the bit of Hamon that's still in the zombie or something, whatever. But it's made it clear to JoJo that on the opposite side of the wall where he is currently standing, Jack the Ripper is hiding there. Mm-hmm. And so he punches that wall and sends the Hamon through the wall to the other side.
Much like a frog.
Much like a frog.
He does some wall mischief.
Yeah, and of course, I think this is one of our first like attack names we get.
Yes.
Now that we have Hamon. We get Sendo Hamon Overdrive. And yeah, it travels through the wall and it hits Jack and he just gets fucking owned. He immediately vaporizes.
Congratulations, JoJo.
Good
you
job.
did it. You punched a zombie real good.
Yeah. Zeppeli is just like, damn, sounds like he owned that zombie, and that's Oh, there was also like some lesson Zeppeli was trying to teach JoJo where he was bringing up Vikings. I forget what exactly that was.
There were no Vikings until the wind made them.
Right. That's what he was telling.
We overcome through adversity.
Yeah. And that's the that's the end of episode 4, Overdrive.
That's the end of episode 4. That takes us right into episode 5, The Dark Nights.
Oh boy.
We start with a video by the Wind Knights lot, a Chamber of Commerce. We learn a little geography lesson. Like, for one thing, this town has Middle Earth geography, not the south of England.
Yeah.
Also, it was home to both a knight's training school and a coal mine for convicts. They had crime coal.
Yeah. I love JoJo does this every once in a while where they when they really want to set like the scene for a new area, they give you like a little like 3-minute history lesson on it like this. Mm-hmm. It happens a couple times in slightly different variations, and I'm a fan of it.
Yeah. So then we cut to the OP and then the action, which is basically our 3 hunky fellas now on foot since they've lost their carriage into Wind Knight's lot. Not in the advantageous time of day they wish to arrive.
Yeah. We immediately hear like a thump and a groan, and when JoJo turns around, we see that Speedwagon was asking Zeppeli to get some Hamon as well, but Zeppeli just fucked it all up and he poked him in the wrong spot and just hurt him bad instead. And that's the only time they're going to attempt to give Speedwagon Hamon. He is absolutely stuck in the battle commentator role.
And like a lot of his commentary is taken away. Speedwagon still knows all that lurks in the hearts of men. That is his domain. But Zeppeli knows everything else.
Yeah.
Zeppeli knows the past. He knows the present.
Yep.
He knows the Hamon.
Yeah. Speedwagon is just for judging people's characters. And usually I feel when he's judging somebody's character, it's just like, wow, that guy seems fucked up. I wouldn't hang out with him if I were me, which I am.
You could replace Speedwagon with a cootie catcher.
Yeah, basically.
So Zeppeli mutters something in Italian that Speedwagon does not understand. I guess we should mention that Zeppeli loves to pepper in Italian words and phrases all the time. He exclusively called the wine vino in the previous episode.
Yeah, molto bene,
but
all that stuff.
As a person who studied Italian for 2 years for my college's language requirement, know that he offered 1,000 apologies.
Ah, there you go.
I finally used that.
Yeah, like I mentioned the first episode, Araki's he just fucking loves Italy, and he tries to put Italian whatever and stuff as much as he can. And yeah, so we already got one Italian character, not the last either, but yeah, even in the Japanese dub, they sprinkle in the Italian phrases, which is pretty fun. They have a little extra oomph in the Japanese dub. I don't know why.
Soon they are waylaid by their first obstacle here in Widnight's lot. A very elaborate pickpocketing scheme.
Yeah, I cannot imagine the amount of setup and also like waiting you have to do to make this specific thing work.
You got to get your marks in this exact spot.
Yeah, there is a child who has set up, what's the word I'm looking for here? Not quite a trebuchet.
A sling?
A sling? Sure. This kid has tied himself up to a rope that is tied around something, and he cuts it, and when he cuts it, it fucking slings him across the road so that when he goes flying, he can nab something from whoever he's stealing from, and then go...
In this case, a briefcase with every penny to our trio's name.
Yeah. So he just goes flying, nabs that, and then like catapults himself into a pond that he swims across very quickly, and starts climbing up a rock face to get away from them.
But that's not going to stop these supernatural heroes.
Oh, no.
Because Zeppeli can walk across water.
Yeah.
Well, I say walk. He can breathe... do like praying mantis hands and then hop across the water, making a very silly noises with every step.
Yeah, if he walks on water, he walks on water like a freaking idiot. Like,
now imagine you're a human trebuchet pickpocket.
Whoa, what's that man doing?
What was that?
Yeah,
what was that noise?
What was that?
Are you okay? Are you okay, dear? What happened?
Metal shelf came apart.
Do you need help? Okay. A metal shelf came up. I don't know which metal shelf came apart. But apparently it's fine, and my assistance is not required.
Okay.
Oh, that's a scary noise.
Yeah, I
don't
heard
like
that briefly, and I was just like, ooh, that was not a good noise.
So as I was saying, imagine you are a human trebuchet-based pickpocket.
Yeah.
And you are certain you are the strangest person in town. Who could possibly approach that? And then a very fancy man starts going, hoop, 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 chasing you across the surface of a pond. And then his very fancy lad sidekick makes his own hopping noises to follow.
Yeah.
But he's not quite as good at it. JoJo, his shoes get wet as he sinks about 1.5 inches beneath the surface with every step.
Yeah, he's not quite in the same level as Zeppeli yet. But yeah, they cross the pond. They get up to the cliff face that the kid is climbing. JoJo punches the cliff face, sends him Hamon through it so that it travels up and just kind of shakes the rock that the kid is currently climbing and sends him flying into JoJo's gigantic arms.
I don't know if they'd be very, like, cushiony. They seem rock hard.
Yeah.
That kid probably hurt himself real bad falling into those arms.
Like, especially because the art style for the start of JoJo, all the buff men have a decent amount of sharp angles to them. Like, I feel like you could cut yourself on certain parts of JoJo.
Especially the nose?
Oh, yeah, the
nose.
And the cheekbones. The cheekbones.
Yes.
Super, super, like, razor sharp looking. But yeah, when they start talking to this kid, they realize that he had been hypnotized. He had been hypnotized by Dio.
And now Dio has them exactly where he wants them and when, which means part of Dio's plan was predicting hopping across a pond making goofy noises. He's a mastermind of this Dio.
He's brilliant, this man. Yeah, he lured them to exactly the place they wanted, and at the correct time, too, because the instant they realize where they are, a graveyard, the sun immediately goes down.
Yes.
I mean, it was already sunset, but damn, the sun goes down fast. Like, this part really feels like a stage play or something, too, because it feels like the crew just changed the lights.
Yes,
or something.
Yes.
For dramatic effect.
The backdrop switched flies just like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So now Dio has appeared, announced himself, made himself known once again, and so the show can begin. Dio's here.
Yeah. Tons of zombies are coming out from the graveyard, still fully armored, a lot of them.
That's how you bury a knight.
Okay.
I guess.
I don't know, it seems like you could use that armor. Seems like at this point in time, it still takes a lot of work to make fucking armor. But yeah, when the zombies start appearing, and while Dio appears, he doesn't just appear in front of them. He's doing it in a really extra way, where he's standing on top of the tallest, most skinniest, like peak of like just a big stack of rocks. And while this is happening, Speedwagon is basically just saying to no one else but himself, "Ah, shit, I was trying to steel myself so I could fight Dio, but I'm a fucking coward. This sucks."
This moment is when Speedwagon becomes what I like to call tall Krillin.
Yeah, he is very much Krillin at this point. The only thing he's got up on Krillin is that he's still got a nose.
I mean, his hat is even kind of a Destructo disc sort of thing.
Yes, yeah. Remember
he's tall Krillin.
Wow, remember when Speedwagon had a knife hat? What happened to that knife hat? That could come in handy right about now.
So now Dio starts monologuing, of course, in the middle of battle with Zeppeli. Zeppeli's here to finish the fucking job, right? Mm-hmm. So who taught Dio about Hamon? He knows all about the Hamon.
Again, I have to imagine Dio's just super well-read.
I guess.
Dio, before becoming a vampire, was going to be a lawyer. I don't know if that would expose him to the knowledge of Hamon somehow.
And all lawyers know about secret breathing, fighting, healing techniques from Tibet.
Yeah.
So yes, Dio knows about Hamon, so he knows how to stop Speedwagon's attacks against him. Speedwagon tries to punch him full of Hamon.
Or rather, Zeppeli, not Speedwagon.
Yeah, right. Obviously, Speedwagon's not punching anybody today.
He's watching 30 feet out off camera going like, oh shit!
Zeppeli is, enacting the plan. He tries to punch a bunch of Hamon into Dio's arm, but Dio has a plan for that.
Oh, I also just want to bring up, right before this happens, I really love the exchange of, Dio revealing that almost all but one of his wounds that JoJo gave him in the fight 2 episodes ago have healed because...
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yeah, he's eaten so many, he's fed on so many people from this town, and Zeppeli, remarks, how many people... have you killed? And Dio retaliates with, how many loaves of bread have you eaten in your lifetime?
Which is an unfair question because Zeppeli only eats the finest Italian breads.
Yeah, and only if it's properly salted enough.
I love the Dio's motivation in this fight, or at least what he brags his motivation is.
Yeah,
is to just drain Zeppeli dry so his tummy looks good for Beachbody season.
Yeah, and to be honest, if Dio left that one scar there in his tummy, it'd probably look kind of cool. I don't even think you really need to heal that last wound there. Yeah, anyway, Zeppeli goes to punch Dio with some Hamon.
But gets punched back with anti-Hamon?
I love the explanation for this. So
Go for it. Lay it out.
Okay, this is what Dio claims he did. So yeah, Zeppeli's fist connects with Dio's palm. Zeppeli's arm freezes and then cracks a whole lot, and his arm starts to bleed profusely. And Dio's unharmed because, as a vampire, he has ultimate control over the functions of his body.
Yes.
So he, in just his arm, vaporized all of the moisture within it, which apparently pulls in nearby heat, which then flash freezes Zeppeli's arm.
Naturally.
And because...
It's super sweat is what he's done.
It's super sweat. So by freezing Zeppeli's arm, he has constricted blood flow, which means that he cannot cause Hamon to be channeled through that arm. I can buy, freezing your arm makes it hard because it's breathing and blood flow and stuff, but, Dio's science behind it... you didn't even need that part, and I love that this vampire is explaining this part.
We get a little bit of Mr. Wizard in the middle of our JoJo.
Yeah.
So speaking of JoJo himself, he has to jump in for the assist, and that begins the weirdest high five I've ever seen.
Yeah, so while this is happening, this isn't like Zeppeli is just standing on the ground next to Dio trying to punch him. No, he is frozen in midair in a cool-looking pose, punching Dio, and now so is JoJo, because Dio was about to punch Zeppeli and shatter his arm and all that.
Dio and Zeppeli were about to punch fist on fist once again, but JoJo's flat, outstretched hand is between them.
Yeah, sandwiched between them, and that stops the punch.
That stops the punch because now he can like channel his Hamon, and they could do a 2-for-1 ham sandwich special.
Yeah, but now Dio does the reverse, and he freezes his own arm, which means the Hamon cannot travel through it because it's frozen.
And so he's taunting them with phrases like anemic and save your breath because Dio thinks he's funny.
Yes. Yeah.
I get it.
So yeah, what Hamon can and cannot be conducted through varies a little bit episode to episode. Like, it could go through a thin concrete wall, but ice, it can't.
No, thank you.
I guess ice just because it's like, it's cold, the opposite of the sun, sure, but, whatever. If this is working on like RPG elements, sure, it makes sense. But yeah, that attack doesn't work either. Dio sends both JoJo and Zeppeli hurtling towards the ground, which I should also mention, the little boy that was hypnotized is still with them, just latched on to JoJo's back like a little baby monkey or something. He also introduced himself. The little kid's name is Poco.
We all love Poco. Poco's a good boy.
Oh, Poco. Yeah, there's like a gross shot too of like when JoJo and Zeppeli are sent flying, like Dio's frozen fist, was touching JoJo's, so when he goes flying, like all the skin on his palm gets torn off.
And it's just like flapping in the wind as he bleeds.
Oh god, it's so gross.
It's gross.
It's pretty gross.
Dio could easily finish them off now, but he won't.
Yeah.
He's going to call in some more of his minions.
Yeah. He calls forth 2 knights, Tarukas and Blueford.
Mm-hmm.
The ground beneath JoJo lifts up into the air, and these 2 knights are below it. There's one like kind of more normal JoJo-sized man, which is still huge, and then one man
who is 15 feet high,
fucking huge dude. And yeah,
it's his hair clip that Jack the Ripper was flying around on.
Oh, that makes sense. This rock that has lifted up the ground is being held up by this giant dude, and he's holding it up just by one finger. So he's tough. I love this bit because it's not just, hey, here are 2 like mini bosses for you to fight before you can eventually get to JoJo. No, we need to know who these mini bosses are.
They have lives, They're fully realized 3-dimensional characters.
Yeah, and maybe you wrote more notes on this than I did, so you might be able to explain their backstory a bit more succinctly than me.
Well, but before we get to their backstory, we have the problem of Zeppeli's severe frostbite to take care of before gangrene sets in.
Right.
And this is where Speedwagon becomes useful because he reminds the Baron that he has the hottest abs in all of Old Blighty.
He's telling Zeppeli, like, hey, I've heard that, like, in the Arctic, they have treated frostbite and stuff by cutting open, like, the stomach of a seal or whatever and sticking your arm in, like, the fat to keep it warm. He doesn't do this himself. He just has really hot abs.
They're glowing red. They're so hot.
They are straight up in the show sizzling. And so he just grabs Zeppeli's arm and just presses it up against his bare abs, and you can hear it sizzling like they're fucking cooking an egg on it.
You know what that makes? Grilled Hamon.
Yum. And I love that, like, while he, Zeppeli is telling Speedwagon, like, you don't have to do this. Like he's sacrificing something. He's not. He's just pressing his arm against his sizzling hot abs. And also Speedwagon is acting like this is extremely difficult because he's like grimacing. He's got sweat running down his face. Like, what is he doing?
And I was wondering if this was another like broadcast version censorship thing. Like, did Speedwagon cut open his abdominal wall?
No,
and then take a fist literally to the guts?
Absolutely not. Even in the manga, he's just got smoking hot abs. Which it's one of my favorite little Speedwagon bits that happens.
Oh, it's the best. He's my favorite.
This great sacrifice. Just putting an arm up against my abs. Also, it's really funny. Speedwagon is also fucking ripped.
Oh, yeah.
That doesn't matter, though.
No.
He is also a huge buff dude, but it doesn't matter. He's just not a fighter.
It raises his core temperature. That's it.
Yeah.
Before we start off another fight revolving around the bylaws of Hamon, that we don't understand until they're immediately relevant.
Yes.
We have to get another bit of Robert's expertise as he reads the souls of these two knights.
God.
And then we get a full flashback into their history. See, they were knights loyal to Mary, Queen of Scots, in her struggles against Queen Elizabeth I, who looks like the stone mask with lipstick when they put her face up. It's very strange.
She really does, yeah.
And like, if I want some House of Stuart propaganda, I'll just like watch Macbeth. I don't need this in my life, but whatever. We're cutting back and forth in this sequence between JoJo trying to fight these two and the backstory. So let's just cover the backstory, I guess.
Yeah, let's just get all that out in one go, I guess.
So as these struggles between Mary and Elizabeth are going back and forth, Mary, Queen of Scots, is, of course, captured and imprisoned in a castle tower. This is factually accurate.
I like that the show says it's a series of castles. I don't know if that part was accurate, but it just made me think that she was getting moved from castle to castle like she's fucking Princess Peach or something.
And these knights are also eventually captured after many valiant battles and given the choice to sacrifice themselves, because if they are executed, Queen Mary will be released. And they're like, you know what? It is our chivalrous duty to take this deal and go to the chopping block. So they do. And as the axe is about to come down on their necks, they are informed that it was all ruse. Mary was executed days ago. This is all for naught. And then the Tarakas, the big guy, his body takes like 8 different swings to chop the head off.
Yeah, they straight up, the executioners straight up break multiple axes while trying to chop his head off because his neck muscles are so huge and tensed up from the rage.
And Blueford, who has just incredible 80s metal hair that is prehensile, as in this cutting we have seen by the time we get to the point he dies.
Yeah.
Something about his hair falling down on the foot of the executioner and doing something. I don't remember what his decapitated hair did.
So his hair wraps around the legs of the executioners and cuts their legs up.
Okay. Yeah. So much like Jack the Ripper, when he became a zombie, had like elemental knife powers, now Blueford has like a hair not unlike Medusa of the Inhumans from Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
And Blueford's great strength means, he's a literal giant.
Yeah. When they start the fight with JoJo here, Zeppeli is still out of it. He's still getting his arm baked.
Zeppeli and Speedwagon just getting baked together.
Oh, yeah. They're bros now. The fight is only between Blueford and JoJo. The really big guy, Tarukas, stays out because Blueford is like a honorable knight. He immediately judges JoJo is the stuff of heroes, and he wants a honorable one-on-one battle with him.
It's that great trope where they love him so much they must kill him.
Yeah, it would be an honor to kill this man.
I respect you so much you have to die by my hand.
Yeah, and while they're about to fight, a random low-rank zombie leaps out at JoJo to bite him, and Blueford zips into frame, going like, hey, this is our fucking fight. Get the hell out of here. And with a single finger, swipes at the zombie's face and tears his nose off. And we get a cut of like the whooshing anime lines background, like really fast. And it's just this zombie's nose on Blueford's finger. And it goes sniff, sniff.
It's very gross and very silly.
That's in the manga too. And like, I remember reading it before watching the show and just going like, what the fuck was that? Why was that even drawn? Why do we have to see the zombie's cut off nose go sniff, sniff?
Sniff, sniff. What's it smelling?
What's happening?
Is someone baking one of these many breads we've discussed?
For as much like JoJo is weird because sure, like by the 4th episode, you've got Jack the Ripper emerging from inside of a horse and he flexes and knives inside of his body shoot out. Like, there's so many little things I think people forget, like the quick cut of the zombie's nose going sniff, sniff.
And we will not let them.
Yeah. But yeah, now that random zombie's out of the way, it's time for Blueford and JoJo to fight. JoJo tries going for a punch, but Blueford's hair wraps around JoJo's hand, and it's like sucking the blood out of his hand.
Which makes Hamon bad.
Yeah.
Because Hamon is blood with the sun blood.
Yeah, it's... Again, Zeppeli's has like a scientific explanation for that earlier in the previous episode where it's like the proper breathing enriches your blood cells, and that's what causes Hamon to flow through you and the blood? Something like that. I don't know.
Something like that.
But yeah, blood is important to Hamon. You don't got blood, you can't do it. JoJo's able to free himself because he uses his other fist, to do a little Hamon punch in the hand on the hair to break it apart.
Punches hair.
He punches the hair. Yeah, Tarukas isn't doing anything in this fight except every, 2 minutes, we just get a cut of Zeppeli and Speedwagon going like, oh shit, Tarukas is right here. And he's just, sitting there being really big and holding a gigantic sword and just standing there and looking evil. There's a bit I really like where Blueford leaps at JoJo, and he's got both of his hands behind his back. And JoJo's thinking, oh, he's not showing what he's going to do. What's going to happen? Which hand is going to pull out the sword? And then Blueford's hair...
His hair pulls out the sword.
Yeah, his hair pulls out the sword and swings it. And I love that, so JoJo, is thinking this out loud. And then he can't just think the question, which hand's going to pull the sword? And then you see the hair pull the sword out. And then the narrator goes, it was his hair that pulled the sword out.
I do love moments when characters and the narrator are in conversation.
Yeah, I love it. But yeah, at this point, Blueford knocks JoJo into a body of water that's nearby that's really deep. And
that they had hupped across not too long ago.
Yes. And at this point, Dio is just like, oh man, JoJo's underwater. He won't be able to breathe and do any Hamon or anything.
No breathing means no Hamon, so he's fucked. Also, no breathing means no breathing, so he's fucked. Can we...
And so, yeah, at this point, Dio's just like, well, there's basically nothing left to see here. I'm going to go fuck off and eat a lot more people. I'm gonna convert this entire city into my thralls, and then from there, I'm going to conquer the world.
You got to start somewhere. It's not a bad plan.
Yeah.
So JoJo and Blueford are underwater, and they are describing what this means for their tactics now. Because JoJo, as a living creature and a Hamon user, that's two reasons he needs to surface to breathe.
Yeah.
While Blueford can survive underwater indefinitely. However, it makes his cumbersome armor a real liability to fight underwater. So if it weren't for the breathing thing, JoJo would be at an advantage.
Yeah.
Blueford says this because he is an honorable combatant, I guess.
Yeah.
So JoJo does the surprising thing. Instead of swimming up, he swims down. Johnathan Joestar would destroy the Gom Jabbar. He would put his head in the pain box. Take that, Reverend Gaius Mohame. Fuck your tests.
Yeah, this is... when I first read/watched this, there were some things that made me go what the fuck? Like Jack the Ripper and all that. But for some reason, the first really iconic thing for me that was fucking what? Was JoJo's battle tactic of, I need air. I'm going to keep swimming down instead of up towards the air. I remember yelling at the screen the first time that happened.
But it all makes sense because we get a flashback. We get a memory of the best character in the whole show, Danny.
He's back for one brief
Danny's
moment.
back, baby. Danny's back providing guidance to our hero in his time of need. It is a memory of young JoJo trying to take his toy gun away from Danny, and Danny won't let go because dogs like to play tug of war.
Yeah.
It's a thing dogs enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And so George gives him the advice to just, hey kid, give the dog a gun. I'm a good dad.
Just give it to him, and then the dog won't care, and he'll let it go.
It works, and I kind of wish it wasn't a toy gun, because that would be a lot more fun to imagine.
Yeah.
So this is his inspiration for swimming down. Not only that, but also Johnathan's knowledge that this was an old mining town. So there are crisscross tunnels beneath everything. So surely there are trapped pockets of air. He lifts up a stone and just slurps up an air bubble, like the opposite of watching astronauts drink in the space station.
Yeah. So basically what Johnathan does here is what Sonic the Hedgehog does.
Yes, that's in my notes. This is what Sonic the Hedgehog has been doing all these years.
Yeah, literally the only thing missing from Johnathan sucking out that air bubble is getting the little noise. Like...
And this gives him just enough Hamon to punch the shit out of Blueford.
Yeah, because water, as I guess has been previously established, because we saw it with the frog.
Okay,
and stuff.
because of the ripples. The
ripples,
sure,
and stuff. Water is a very good conductor of Hamon energy. So now he can just from long range just punch Hamon at Blueford, and it hits him like right in the fucking face. And that
knocks him clean out of the pond.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, get a cliffhanger of Blueford getting punched. Oh, right. So we get a new attack name. The underwater punch is Underwater Turquoise Blue Overdrive.
Yes. Yes.
What's really funny about the Hamon stuff is, these are the attack names for the manga, but the manga was in black and white. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of funny that all these attack names are color-based.
Well, it gave the anime art director something to work with.
That's true, yeah.
A square one to start from.
Yeah.
So that takes us to episode 6 now, Tomorrow's Courage. You might think Blueford is dead. You are wrong. It's going to take more than 2 solid hits to knock out this guy.
Yeah. He does get knocked out of the water, though, and then they're back on land. Blueford says something about, like, we're fighting in our natural element again. Or fucking something stupid like that. His face is starting to crack up.
It is. This is when I realized that if you could just monologue forever while your opponent is in mid-leap, they would be effectively trapped there forever and defeated. Your allies could do whatever needed to be done. It'd just be like holding them in a half Nelson forever, but with your voice.
Yes. God.
And voice relies on breath, which means this is a Hamon technique, which means it's valid. I win.
Fuck, hell yeah. But yeah, we get the OP, and then we're back in. JoJo tries to go in for like a rapid series of punches, a Hamon barrage, I think he calls it. But he gets completely wrapped up in hair. His arms are bound to him. The hair is all wrapped around his torso. He's getting wrapped to a tree. His blood is getting sucked out yet again.
Mm-hmm. Blueford in his taunts keeps dropping in French phrases for some reason, and you might think that's strange, but you have to recall Mary, Queen of Scots, also held the title Queen Consort of France for a number of years. So there you go.
Damn.
It's all historically accurate.
Damn.
100%.
Yeah, it's I have seen, while reading about like this first part, getting to some JoJo communities where they're like, were Blueford and Tarukas real knights? Because everything else was like, I think that's actually historically correct. What about these guys? I mean, obviously they're not this huge, but...
I mean, even Tarukas wasn't that huge until he was a zombie.
That's true. He got embiggened once he was a zombie.
I also wish that the Black Knight Blueford had been paired with the Blue Knight Blackford rather than Tarukas.
Yeah.
It would have been fun.
That'd be fun. But yeah, while JoJo is all wrapped up in hair, Blueford leaps into the air with his sword drawn, his very long sword, and goes to behead JoJo. His legs are still free, and so he kicks the sword, because Hamon can also be conducted very well through steel.
Through metal. Yeah.
And so the Hamon travels up the sword, goes through the handle, and just melts Blueford's arm clean off his body. It gets all goopy and it just falls right off.
And so JoJo defeats Blueford. We were expecting a special hero boy, but then there are hero boys so special that they can make flowers bloom,
yes,
and resurrect zombies to lay them to peaceful rest.
Yeah, it's yeah, he does a big barrage of punches, and that Hamon travels through Blueford onto the ground, causes all those flowers to bloom. Blueford is slowly being resurrected into a normal man again, but while that's happening, he goes to, again, kill JoJo, and JoJo just turns around to leave and doesn't retaliate. And that's what causes Blueford to stay his sword and realize, like, God damn, this dude is so honorable. What a man.
Yeah, like he has JoJo on his knees as he comes down to behead him. Whoa, how the tables have turned, Blueford. Because JoJo refuses to flinch, Blueford refuses to kill him.
Yeah. And Blueford has a little talk about, how honorable JoJo is and what a hero he is. You could have killed me, but instead I have been revived as a normal human being to live out my last moment as, with a soul again or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And he's got a going away present. That sword, he won't be using it anymore because he's dead, raised, and then dead, but properly now.
Yeah. Yeah, he gives JoJo the sword, which already had a name emblazoned on it, Luck. But he goes, you know what? It can't just be Luck. I gotta change this up. And he takes it, and with his own blood, it draws a P on it, so now it's Pluck.
Okay, it's weird, but he was really working with what he had. There aren't a lot of options.
Yeah, Dluck? Cluck? No.
Yeah, he's gonna give him the chicken sword?
Yeah.
No, he's an honorable man.
Yeah, here, Pluck. And so, yeah, Blueford disintegrates and leaves just his armor behind in a beautiful field of flowers that have grown from him. And then Tarukas just comes in and fucking stomps all over the armor. You know what? Blueford sucked. He was a spineless dog. He loved to fight with honor. Not me, though. I'm just huge. And then I'm
fucking huge.
He just shouts, I have a sword as big as a man. That's literally the line. I have a sword as big as a man.
I mean, factual, and what are you going to do about it? Huh? What?
Yeah.
So it is time for our hero trio, I guess our quartet, because we have Poco in tow. Poco in Toko. And so in order to get away, it's time for another Hamon superpower. Life magnetism overdrive.
Yes, because living things and just about everything has some amount of Hamon in it. They're able
Trees don't breathe,
Trees
though.
don't breathe. Yeah.
They don't have blood either. They have the sun. Okay, photosynthesis. Sure. Hamon is also the sun. It's a lot of things.
Yeah. So there's just a big, gigantic pile of leaves underneath their feet. And so, yeah, both JoJo and Zeppeli are able to send Hamon through all of the individual leaves so that they get all sucked together so they can make a gigantic glider out of it that they're just holding with their fingertips.
And not in the shape of a glider, in the shape of a giant leaf.
Right, yeah, it's in the shape of a giant leaf.
Now, a normal narrative would have shown a different use or a smaller use of life magnetism overdrive previously. And so this escape is still surprising in its scale or its creativity, but there's groundwork laid for it. No, we don't truck with that bullshit.
So part of JoJo pulling shit like this of quite frequently is the manga and the show just want to go real fast. So they don't like to establish a fair amount of things because they just want to fucking go. Mm-hmm. Part of it is also just Araki's like, this would be cool right now. Did I foreshadow it? No.
I have a lot of respect for it. This would be cool right now.
Like in so many other things, I would find it frustrating, but because JoJo establishes very early on that it's just going to do whatever the fuck it feels like, it's just like a part of the character of the show, I guess. I do want to make a comparison here that I thought of a while ago. The way Hamon and other things in JoJo can just suddenly do a new thing that was never established, it reminds me of really old Superman comics where Superman just has a new power randomly.
Yes. Silver Age Superman.
Yeah, Silver Age. I was right, actually. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very much in line with Silver Age Superman, you know, super knitting or fucking whatever else he's doing that issue. Yes, like that is very much...
Super ventriloquism came up a little more than you might expect.
Yeah, that is very much what JoJo does a lot of the time. What would serve the narrative right now? What would be cool right now? They can do it probably. Unless they can't, because it adds more tension or something. I don't know.
But at least in the Superman case, then they could put a sticker on the cover that says "New Superpower Revealed" to try to move some more issues.
Yeah, new Hamon ability revealed. It doesn't float quite as much. It's not Superman.
So as we float down, it's time for another flashback. Now we learn the origins of Hamon, or at least the origins of Zeppeli's time with Hamon.
Yeah, just many years ago, he was just traveling, and he ended up in India finding a doctor who appears to be doing essentially what Reiki is, but actually healing people's limbs. And
So
all
not
of that.
quite what Reiki
Yeah,
is.
not quite, because it actually fucking works. It isn't bullshit. Yeah, he was just like, wow, this guy's a more, a better medic than anyone I've ever seen. And for some reason, his hands are just leaving a glow behind wherever he touches. And
this is specifically a globe-trotting quest to try to find a power that can defeat the stone mask.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
After he had to kill his dad with the sun.
But yeah, talking to the medic, he is informed of Hamon. And so he goes into Tibet to find the masters of Hamon so he himself can learn it. And finds a temple in the middle of nowhere.
This is just one more way that JoJo is extra, because they don't choose between a mystic in India or a secret Tibetan monastery. It's both.
It is both, yes. But he makes some big travels and finds this temple kind of in the middle of a mountain range and meets the master, Tom Petty, who is definitely not originally named Tom Petty.
But he's more of a heart healer, if you think about it.
Yeah. With Master Tom Petty, he agrees to train Zeppeli in the art of Hamon. But when they're making this agreement, they shake hands, and Tom Petty tells Zeppeli that he has seen his future, and if he pursues the mysteries of Hamon and goes along with this, his fate is sealed. Hamon is going to lead him to his death.
You know what? That's worth it, he says.
Yeah.
If that's what it takes to get rid of this stone mask, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm down with
committed.
it. But yeah, this flashback was just happening in Zeppeli's head after Speedwagon was just like, how'd you learn all this shit anyways? Zeppeli doesn't tell anybody this. He just thinks it. And then thinks to himself...
He says everything except that last
Except the
part.
prophecy, yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's thinking like, man, that prophecy, I'm always thinking about it, but I just cannot tell anybody. Can't even tell JoJo.
Telling JoJo would be a no-no.
Yeah. And then, oops, Tarukas has leapt into the air and is right behind them in the glider.
So yeah, they have sailed down to, I guess, the nightly training facility, which is this giant stone tower descending down a cliff.
It's built into like the side of the cliff face.
The layout of Wind Knight's lot, God,
There's
you would have... There must be so many stairs in here that everybody looks like JoJo, at least from the waist down.
Yeah, there's this big cavern, like canyon that they're gliding through. Yeah, it's not just that there's a big tower built into the side of this the face of the canyon here. It's really deep down into it. Like it is super underground. I don't know how the fuck you get down here. But yeah, Tarukas tries to grab onto the glider and cut it up, but because there's Hamon channeling through it, it just hurts him and he bounces off and goes flying. And goes flying into the cliff face where this training facility is. And while everyone else is safely landing, they're remarking like, wow, that dude must be super fucking dead. He flew like 70 miles an hour into a cliff face. Looney Tunes style. But
of course he's not.
Yeah,
of course he's not. There's no Hamon in stone walls. You
yeah.
kill a zombie without Hamon.
He's fine. Instead, he just like appears out of the crater he left in the side of the cliff face and just starts climbing to get inside this facility.
So all our heroes need to get into the facility so they can be protected and form a plan. And they are sure that it is full of booby traps.
Yes.
Although it is very visibly oozing green mist. I don't know if that signifies booby traps, so they don't have to mention it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's great that they go like, oh, we have to get inside where we'll be safe. Hard cut to this door that has green evil mist oozing from it. It's really funny.
Ugh.
But JoJo takes the first step in. And is immediately caught in a trap.
Yes. He is now chained wrist to wrist, or no, neck to neck, obviously,
Yeah.
To Tarukas. And the chains go through the ceiling, and this is suddenly important.
Yeah.
Once again, every fight that we're talking about in this episode is just a stream of explaining things Hamon can and cannot do.
Yeah.
He could send the Hamon very easily through the steel chain, except it won't go through the stone part that is blocking the conductivity. What the fuck?
Yeah. It is entirely just okay, I want this cool this fight I thought of where they're chained neck to neck to each other and they can, but then it was just like, wait, I already wrote a thing where Hamon travels very easily through metal. Couldn't he just do that? Well, I gotta add it in extra. I don't want to give up on the cool neck chain death match. So yeah,
and it has to be steel for some reason.
Yeah, it could just be some other material. I don't know. But yeah, the explanation is because the chain runs through this ceiling. It's dispersing through the ceiling and can't get all the way through this chain.
It's just so slapdash.
Yeah,
and
it totally is.
Why not have the neck shackle constrict your breathing, making your Hamon less effective?
And it could even just be the chain is too long for Hamon to make it all the way through. He could just punch the chain and you see the Hamon go through and it stops like halfway and he's like, oh no, it's too long for it to go through.
There are so many ways to make it seem less, slapdash.
Yeah. The early parts of JoJo have a little bit more of this in later parts, especially because I think he was still trying to figure out what the fuck JoJo was. Mm-hmm. But throughout, basically any time there's a new part or any part of JoJo where they introduce a new ability or a new power or system or something, the first several episodes, those rules wildly fluctuate until he finally settles on a thing, and then it's that for basically the rest of the thing. A lot of this comes from the fact that, it was a weekly manga.
Right.
So he was just constantly changing things. But yeah, there's always a point where he kind of reaches like an equilibrium, and it's just like, okay, the rules are basically the same throughout now. We're still in that part where it's just like, what the fuck does Hamon do? It's life electricity?
Anyway, meanwhile, Poco is outside and he wets himself. And then he tells everybody he did with like, bro, no one's paying attention to you. You do not have to say. It's okay.
Yeah. And yeah, Zeppeli and Speedwagon are trying to get in because the door is closed on the death match. They can't get back in. Another thing that's weird, that's also a little slapdash, is like, okay, sure, so Hamon, Zeppeli is like beating his fist bloody, trying to punch down this door, but it's a thick metal door, and it's like, while he can channel Hamon through it, it's not like he can melt the door. Okay, sure, we've only seen Hamon traveling through things and not like destroying them. But he does say, if this were brick, I could punch clean through this, but all surrounding the door is brick! It's all brick! What are you doing? Just punch anything around the door. I don't know. While they're doing that, Poco is, thinking like, fuck, I just got to get away from these guys. They just attract nightmares and trouble towards them. And then he thinks and has a flashback in his head of his own backstory.
Yes, and we learn that bullies live in every part of the English countryside.
Yeah.
Not just where JoJo came from.
Yeah, Poco is a kid who's been bullied frequently, and after the bullies leave, his sister comes and gives him a fucking slap across the face. Yeah. Basically telling him, like, fucking man up, dude. Like,
come on, grow a pair, kid.
Yeah.
What are you, chicken? What, you gonna cry? You gonna cry to your big sister? Fuck you.
Yeah, like, fucking man up. Like, stand up to these dudes. And remembering that slap from his sister gives him the courage to help out in this situation. Because he spots there's a small like plus-shaped holes in certain parts of the walls of this training facility. So he climbs up in there because it's conveniently child-sized. So he's climbing through there to get inside and try and pull this lever.
Zeppeli and Speedwagon try to stop him because they're sure he will most certainly die as soon as he enters. They can run on water, but you can't grab a kid.
Yeah, Poco gets in. They're previously established there was like this lever just out of reach from the door that may have opened it. But Poco gets inside, and Tarukas immediately spots the very small child that's the size of one of his toes, and goes to kick the shit out of this kid. But
slams him hard against the wall. Like, this kid should be dead.
The only reason why Poco didn't die, because, again, it was a glancing blow. Only because JoJo, seeing Poco come in, yanks really hard on the chain that connects him and Tarukas and is able to pull Tarukas back enough that he only is able to slightly kick this child and send him careening 60 feet in the opposite direction.
So then when we see Poco, he's crawled away from the wall toward this lever. There's a smudge on the wall and a trail of something leading up to Poco, and I don't know if that's the child's blood or urine, and there is no good answer to this question.
No, there really isn't. But yeah, Poco is basically on death's doorstep, it feels like, the trail of whatever he's leaving behind. But he is able to get to the lever and lay his body weight on it to open the door to let Zeppeli and Speedwagon in.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Speedwagon relegated to the sidelines because now it is his duty to just cradle Poco's battered child body while Zeppeli does all the work.
Yeah. Zeppeli thinks once again about the prediction of his death and wonders if today is the moment. And Speedwagon's mind-reading powers are no help. He does not understand the gravity of the moment.
Yeah. As
Zeppeli walks forward and challenges Tarukas in one of the really great uses so far of the to be continued music cue.
Yeah.
I think of the 6 we've gotten up to, this is the best so far.
Yeah, this is one of the really good uses of Roundabout kicking in before the credits because it leads up to this really dramatic thing of Speedwagon asking Zeppeli like, hey, what's wrong? And you just get silence from Zeppeli for several seconds as Roundabout's guitar kicks in. And he begins to think to himself, slowly walking towards Tarukas, that this prophecy that he was told, like, it feels like it's about to happen. Like this, he is walking it to his death right now, going into this fight. And that's the end of the episode.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's a really good cliffhanger.
What do you think about Tarukas and Blueford as characters, as a double act? I guess they're not a double act anymore. One of them, life died.
I'm mixed on them because, like, whenever I think about part 1 of JoJo, there's a lot of things I think about. Tarukas and Blueford are always kind of what I think of, like, they are the roadblock to the main action of part 1. So in some like, you got to have some other fights before you get to, any big important fights with Dio or whoever else, right?
Right. You got to figure out Hamon, and that means you have to write 8 fights that revolve around it.
Yeah. So I appreciate the, like, showing that, JoJo has to go through some other big trials before he can get to Dio or anything. On rewatches, this is always the part that I kind of want to skip a tiny bit, or at least up to the part where you get to when it's time for Zeppeli and JoJo to fight Tarukas together.
Yeah.
Because the other parts is like, okay, you could kind of skip these parts and not miss too much, especially on rewatches, but there's still a lot of parts I like about it. Just the galaxy brain, like, I need to breathe, I'm gonna swim deeper underwater thing. Just the trope that I never really get tired of, that's very entertaining to me, of, like, super honorable combatants.
The way they must destroy what they love, you put a slight twist on it and it's like a satire of fandom.
Yeah, totally. It's just such a well-worn, like, trope at this point, but there's always something you can do with it that makes me enjoy it. I don't know why.
Yeah. Also, I enjoy how once Tarukas is the last zombie standing, as he disparages the Blueford, he talks about how he has no need for clever. What use is clever to a man like him? And the first thing he does is trap them in a booby trap that disables their superpowers. Like, I guess you have some use for clever. Don't sell yourself short.
Yeah. So yeah, I still enjoy these parts. There's still a lot of good little bits. But yeah, Tarukas and Blueford, their fights are definitely the big part of figuring out, like, what the fuck does Hamon do?
Mm-hmm.
It's like life/sun electricity, kind of, /magnet, life magnet.
Mm-hmm. It's life magnet electricity from the sun that you breathe in your blood.
Simple.
It's so simple.
Yeah. I have been exposed to Hamon long enough that, like, when I think about it, I'm just like, of course, Hamon, simple. But then when I watch it, it's like, oh god, it's a lot of things, isn't it? It's a whole lot of stuff. But yeah, what do you think about these parts?
The high point of the series so far is that last cliffhanger and the entire Jack the Ripper in the tunnel fight.
Yes, Jack the Ripper is really good.
Jack the Ripper's so good.
I really enjoy Jack the Ripper's fight, especially because, like, at that point, The rules are pretty simple. Sun kicks equal kill zombie vampires.
Yes. What more do you need?
Even though Tarukas and Blueford come later and they're also ridiculous, like Jack the Ripper is very hard to top, zombie-wise. Neither of them hid inside a horse.
That's true.
Neither of them had knives that they could squeeze out of their body.
Also, just the juxtaposition of the actual historical Jack the Ripper with all of the cultural and historical weight on those shoulders and being treated like, okay, for your first knitting project, you're just going to want to do a 10 by 10 inch square.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so great that Jack the Ripper is essentially just like a tutorial boss.
Yeah.
He's not a serious threat, despite all of the work both history itself and the show does to establish that he's Jack the fucking Ripper.
Yeah.
Like, he was mentioned as historical backdrop just to establish stakes, then he's a character, and then he's dead. Like, I really love that, previous episode, the previous podcast, when you said you thought, very briefly, you thought that Dio may become Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
And I thought...
That makes sense.
And
That's
does.
what something that makes sense would do.
And I was like, fuck, dude, Dio being Jack the Ripper would kick ass. But nah, Dio's just going to be Dio. And he's worse than Jack the Ripper, apparently.
In our next episode, next time you hear from us, we will be finishing part 1 of JoJo. Part 1 only lasts 9 episodes, so only 3 episodes of Dogs Must Die.
It's kind of crazy how short part 1 is before we move into part 2.
It's a shorty short part.
Yeah. A lot of people look back on part 1 as being like the part of JoJo that's the most forgettable, or like the parts like, I don't need to go back and watch that. That's not really JoJo at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But I really value part 1 because it both because of how much stuff it sets up and also in its brevity.
Yeah.
We get through the story of part 1 so quick, and it's kind of nice, actually. There's zero filler in part 1. You just go.
The way it just goes, and also the way the structure does feel kind of like flying by the seat of its pants.
Yeah.
It communicates a sense of even, the author doesn't want to be in part 1 for too long.
Yeah, and this was also, it wasn't Araki's first manga. He had done at least a couple beforehand. Probably most recognizable before this was Bao, B-A-O-H, which was like a biological monster transforming dude fighting stuff. I don't know. There's like an animated OVA of it that's on YouTube that you can watch.
Ah, yes, Root Search.
Yes. God damn it, Root Search. Jesus Christ. But yeah, part 1 really feels like he wanted to get a story out and done because he didn't know how long it would be picked up for, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really confirm this, but yeah, it feels like he wants to get something out. Also, like, aiming to make a super long-running manga isn't maybe the greatest idea, especially when you're earlier on. Because it feels like a lot of people they do a lot of short stuff before something actually like strikes a chord with an audience and becomes something bigger. But whoops, this one did. Still going.
So that is it for this episode of Bizarre Podcast Dogs Must Die, in parentheses, Frog Mischief.
Yeah, every couple episodes, we should just add on to the title. Never remove anything. Dogs Must Die, Frog Mischief. In the next 3 episodes, we'll probably get something else to add on to the title.
I mean, we've got to keep it relevant because no dogs were harmed, unless you count being given a toy gun harmful, and then you're just a weird helicopter parent, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I can promise many more dogs will die. It's just
okay.
It's not going to be like every other episode. It kind of comes in bursts. But yeah, dog violence is still going to be a recurring thing.
Dog violence, the seasonal occurrence. It comes and goes like my allergies.
I would say, at least for part 1, the level of dog violence that has happened has made up for not being in every episode, because one dog literally got burned alive and another one got eaten by a cat. That's pretty high in the dog violence list.
Oh, I suppose I should mention this. If I have figured out the timeline right, by the time you are hearing this, another podcast where I and someone else talk about a show that is impossible to spoil even by describing it is up and running. My wife and I do a show called Sex Archie, where we talk episode by episode about Riverdale, which this January which I believe is now, is returning for its 5th season. And by the time you hear this, you'll also have our most recent bonus episode up where we talk about Afterlife with Archie, the zombie horror comic series that I believe is the direct antecedent to Riverdale coming to a CW affiliate near you.
That's right. The reason why I first brought up the idea of JoJo was because of Riverdale, I think. I remember bringing it up and you were just like, well, I already do this podcast for this other show that's basically like impossible to spoil and is fucking absurd. So sure, why not?
Yeah. Every once in a while, I just remember a thing that happened in Riverdale and I have to check to see if it really did happen. Yeah. And it always has.
Yup. No, I think that's it. So stay tuned for more JoJo.
Stay tuned for more JoJo, everybody. Have a great day.
Yeah, see you later, everybody.